What's up, everybody? Smooth Cosplayer here, your favorite salsa dancing cosplayer. As we get deeper into con season, one subject that I must address is that of consent, or specifically, cosplay does not equal consent. If you haven't heard of Cosplay Is Not Consent, what that means is the fact that somebody is wearing a cosplay does not mean that you are entitled to anything with, to, for that person. So let's break down all that entails. So there's a lot that falls under that. So let's start with the most prominent, most important part of cosplay does not equal consent. And that means that someone wearing a cosplay does not mean that you get to touch that person. For some reason, people lose their minds and all types of home training goes out the window just because somebody is wearing a cosplay. There always are a whole lot of reports about someone getting groped, sexually harassed, even sexually assaulted while being in cosplay. Happens to women a lot, just like regular life. The main victims of harassment and assault tend to be women, no different in the convention scene and in cosplay. Heard way too many reports of women getting groped, somebody grabbed their boob, somebody put their hands in a place they shouldn't have, somebody grabbed their butt, and for some reason there's always these BS excuses people make whenever somebody reports that, saying, oh well, she had on XYZ, so she was, how could she not expect that unwanted attention, or she was asking for it, or all those kinds of things. Like what do you expect? What they expect is to be respected like a regular human being who has bodily autonomy. Okay, it doesn't matter what they have on. Same thing happens with guys. Like for some reason, like if a guy has on a cosplay that is showing their chest and abs, some women decide, oh, that's free game for me to run my hands up and down their abs. Or if they're wearing a form-fitting costume, women decide to grab their butt or even grab their junk for whatever reason. And if a guy dares to complain about it, people will laugh at him and say, oh, well, you're a guy, you're supposed to like that, or you should be lucky that the woman was touching you. Like there are some women, I haven't heard them say this, but there are some women who have that mentality that, oh, I'm a hot woman, so you should be lucky, you should feel lucky, you should feel honored that I'm touching you. Let me make something really, really clear here, y'all. Peep this, all right? It doesn't matter what somebody is wearing. It doesn't matter what they're not wearing. It doesn't matter what character they're cosplaying as. It doesn't matter if it's a sexy character. It doesn't matter if they took a character and made it more sexy. It doesn't matter if they took a sexy character and made it less sexy. It doesn't matter if that character is a flirtatious character. It doesn't matter if the cosplayer themselves is a flirtatious person. None of that means anything. They were not asking for it. They weren't leading you on. They weren't false advertising. None of that. The person wearing a cosplay, that means they're wearing a cosplay. You need to treat them like you would treat anybody else. Stuff that we learned back when we were little, stuff that our parents taught us. Don't touch somebody without their explicit verbal consent. Keep your hands to yourself. Again, you would think that would be common sense, but yet we still have to have cosplay is not consent signs at conventions. We still have to have a hashtag cosplay is not consent on social media. So yes, it is a serious thing. Now, if you're watching this, you've never been to a convention, don't let this scare you. It happens, but it's not like you're not walking into a grope fest, okay? But just, be careful, Understand that there are crazy people out there. There are people who, like I said, act like they don't have home training, and that might happen, okay? But I know people who it's happened to. I know people who it's never happened to. Again, I don't want that to scare you away from going to a convention and wearing a cosplay. All I'm saying is it happens. It's something that we have to address. It's something we have to look out for. But, I'm not saying you are guaranteed to get groped if you go to a convention, okay? So yeah, that is the main aspect of cosplay is not consent, but it also goes into a few other subjects as well. So when it comes to taking pictures, you must ask for a picture before you take a photo of somebody. Now, we cosplayers, we know that people are going to want to take pictures of us. We might be their favorite their favorite character, or they really like our cosplay, really like the work that we did. And we love getting our pictures taken. Most of us do. We love getting our pictures taken. So we kind of expect it to happen. but you still need to ask. We still appreciate being asked, okay? Nobody likes just sitting there chilling and all of a sudden somebody just snaps a picture and runs off. You're like, most of us will give you a photo op if you ask. You know, we'll give you a good pose and all of that. But like, don't just walk by snapping and run away. You know, we might not have been ready. We might have part of our costume off, or one of our prop is sitting over there in the corner, or all those kinds of things. Like, we just give us that respect of asking us first, okay? If someone is already posing for a picture and there are a crap ton of people already taking the picture, by all means jump in and take that picture. But if the person is not already posing, ask them first, okay? And you know, most cosplayers will say yes, but we have our right to say no. If you're asking for a picture and they say no, yes, I would advise cosplayers, you know, say no respectfully. But photographers or people just taking pictures, if they say no, regardless if they say it politely or not, respect that no and move on. You never know why they might have said no to that picture. They might be like, oh, well, I'm running late to a shoot, I'm running late to a panel, I'm dead tired, I need to go take a break, I'm on my way back to my hotel room, I got a headache. So many different reasons why somebody might not want to stop and take a picture. You need to respect that no, okay? So branching that off into a few other things, we are not on the clock when we're in cosplay, okay? We are not entitled to give you anything, okay? Yes, please ask. Most of us would say yes, but there are certain times where, like, for example, I had a friend of mine who, she and her boyfriend were in line to eat, to get something, you know, just get something to eat, and somebody asked her boyfriend for a picture. So he said yes, kind of reluctantly. Yeah, he must have been super tired and hungry. You know how people in general get when they're hungry. We're a little more irritable when we're hungry, especially if we've been in costume all day. So he hands my friend his stuff to take a picture, and then the guy was like, no, can you put your gloves on? He's like, all right, let me put the gloves on. And you know, so my friend stood up for her boyfriend and said, hey, you know, it would have been just as good of a picture without the gloves. And the photographer had the nerve to say, well, when people take a picture of you, they expect you to be in full costume. That's the risk you take. Say what? He was a whole lot more gracious than I would have been, because for me, if you say that to me, I'm going to take the gloves right back off and say, you know, no, forget the picture, you don't get one. But yeah, we are not, unless we are being paid to be at that particular event and being paid to take pictures right then, we don't owe anything. We don't owe you anything. We're not on the clock. You know, ask us whatever you want to ask us. We might say yes. We usually will say yes. But if no, move on. Okay. When it comes to taking pictures, if you're going to take pictures with someone, this is backtracking back to the, you know, don't touch without consent thing. A little mixture of both of these things. If you are taking a picture with a cosplayer, make sure that you ask before you put your arm around them or put your hands wherever, okay? I even messed up with this recently. This past year's DragonCon 2018, me and my cosplay group were out Saturday night, and we saw another group, and we all saw each other at the same time, and we were like, there was this mutual, hey, I want a picture with y'all kind of vibe going on. So we all got together and took pictures, and the young lady standing closest to me, she had her back slightly turned to me, and for some reason, I don't even know why, I can't even retrace my thoughts to explain why I did what I did, but I put my arm around her like this, so my arm was pretty much like right around stomach area here. And we took pictures. I didn't really feel any bad vibe at that moment, but then when I looked at the pictures later, I thought, wait, nobody else in this picture is getting cozy like this. And then it hit me, dang, I didn't even ask her if I could put my arm around her like that. And I had done poses like that before, but it was always in a private shoot, and it was always with somebody I knew already, and we had already discussed it. Say, hey, this is what I have in mind. Do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? Are you okay with this? Are you okay with that? And consent was given, and we good. But I realized I didn't do that with her. And again, I can't explain why I didn't. I don't even remember what my train of thought was, but I felt horrible because I was like, I looked at that picture and I cringed. I was like, ugh, that don't look good. And I felt super hypocritical because I'm normally a big advocate for, you know, hashtag cosplay is not consent, you know, trying to help spread that movement. And here I am not asking someone for consent when I take a picture with them. So fortunately I was able to find her on Instagram the very next day. followed her and sent her a message and said, hey, I'm sorry about last night. I put my arm around you. I didn't ask. I should have asked. My apologies. I hope that didn't make you feel uncomfortable. She responded very positively. She did admit to not being comfortable with being touched in that area, but she did say, hey, I don't think you meant anything malicious by it, and I definitely appreciate you coming to me and apologizing. I was very grateful for that because, she doesn't know me from Adam, and even if she did, she didn't owe me that benefit of the doubt. So yeah, I say that, one, to be transparent, because I don't want y'all to think I'm sitting up on some high horse acting holier than thou with consent, and also so that you all don't make the same mistake I made. And a lot of y'all might think that it's awkward. They say, hey, can I put my arm around you during this picture? Even if that's awkward, that amount of awkward pales in comparison to the amount of awkward that the other person might feel if you are touching them in a place that they don't like. They could be like, what the heck is going on? Some people go into shock in those situations where they like, is this really happening? All these thoughts go through their head like, dang, should I say something? Should I just let this slide? Should I make a scene? Should I punch them? All that other kind of stuff. You never know what that person might be going through. So whatever awkward you could feel by asking, it's a whole lot more awkward for them if they're getting touched in the wrong area. So yes, please do, if you're taking a picture with somebody, ask before you do any kind of poses with them, any kind of contact. So yeah, going back to just the main idea of asking for pictures, a general rule, if you see somebody sitting down, if part of their costume is off, if they're in line to eat, don't ask for a picture. They're trying to chill, they're trying to rest, they're trying to do something else other than be on at that moment. I typically will still say yes, but I'm one of the exceptions. Most people, if you see them sitting down, if they're off in a corner, if they got a lot of their costume off, that's a sign for it. Don't ask me for a picture. All right, so there's that. We got don't touch without consent, don't take a picture without consent. Now, this also goes to costumes. Don't touch somebody's costume without consent. You don't know if how much money that person spent, how much time that person spent, how fragile that cosplay is. That if you touch one little part, some paint might chip off, they got to redo that, something might fall off and break. Don't assume that you can touch somebody's costume. I know you might want to find out what material it was made out of or all that kind of stuff. Just ask. There's nothing, it's not hard to just ask, okay? So don't touch somebody's costume, don't touch somebody's prop, okay? Again, same thing. They might have spent X amount of money, X amount of time on it. It might be fragile, it might not be fragile. Ask before you touch. And if they're not obligated to give it to you, they're not obligated to let you touch it. There's certain props I have where I'm like, nah, you're not touching this. I spent way too much money on that. If somebody does let you hold their prop, give it back to them immediately when they ask for it back. There was a story not a story, I was actually here for it. A friend of mine, we were at Dragon Con and he had this big sword, looks kind of like Cloud's Buster sword from Final Fantasy VII, and somebody asked to see it. So he let him hold it, he used examining it and everything. And my friend goes to grab it back and the guy kind of snatches away as if to say, I'm not done with your prop yet. You don't tell me when you're done with my prop. I tell you when you're done with my prop. That guy was being a little belligerent with that, and he eventually did get kicked out of the building. But yeah, if someone is gracious enough to let you hold their prop, give it back right then and there. All right. So that's pretty much it. There's a lot of other things that we could cover with Cosplay Is Not Consent, but that should cover everything in general. If you guys got anything that I missed, let me know in the comments. I would love to hear any other things that Cosplay Is Not Consent falls under. Or covers rather. But that's it. Y'all have a good night. Have a good time at whatever con you're going to next. Good luck on your cosplay builds. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, hit that share button, and I will see y'all at the next video. Peace.